Hi, this is Marty. The interview you're about to watch is with my good friend Sandy Stuber. Sandy shares how he went from a very extremely skinny kid and up until recently a skinny fat guy who even failed a stress test at his doctor's office and was in rather poor health until today. He's a 50-year-old bodybuilder in excellent shape and even participates in bodybuilding competitions. Sandy will share as we talk about exercise, nutrition, and supplements he uses, and what motivated him to get into the best shape of his life. It's a very informative and a very inspirational story. I hope you enjoy. Well, I'm here with my friend Sandy Stuber, and Sandy, like I told you before, I'm really excited about doing this interview because there are questions I've wanted to ask you for a while about how you work out, what you do to get in the shape that you've gotten into. So really, I guess just to start off with, I'm going to have you introduce yourself a little bit. Tell me who you are, what you do, a little about your family maybe, whatever comes to mind.
All right, sounds good. I'm Sandy Stuber, and I was born in 1965, so that makes me 51.
Hey,
Started
we're the same age.
We're the same age, there you go. I started lifting 2008, but not seriously till probably about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Born and raised here in Waterloo, real estate agent for 16 years.
Okay.
And then family members, got 2 girls, 16 and 11. Been
Okay.
married for about 22 years.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, well, I remember when you started working out because you and I both worked out at the YMCA. I knew you were a real estate agent, so we had that in common.
That's true.
And we'd kind of say hi and whatnot, but I remember you being the guy that you were always doing ab stuff. You were doing, either sit-ups or crunches, or, I just remember that a lot from that time. And, I remember you being there pretty consistently. I'm curious, and I know you and I have talked a little bit because we've become friends after working out and stuff, but
Sure.
I want to go back a little bit to what was it like for you as a kid or maybe in high school, when it comes to, fitness wise and maybe your body composition at that time. Tell me a little
Sure.
bit about, what it was like growing
Sure.
up, being Sandy Stuber.
There you go. Not a good thing. Being the name Sandy, constantly got picked on for that. Named after the baseball player back in the 60s.
Okay.
Sandy Koufax.
Yep.
And of course, kids could not comprehend that. They thought it was a girl's name, and
Right.
constantly got teased. And I bet your parents wanted a girl, which maybe they did because they already had a boy 10 years older than myself. So
Okay.
maybe that was the case. I don't know. But I was always told that that's how I got the name.
Okay.
After the baseball player.
Okay.
So, and then probably about 5th grade, that's when I guess the bullying started in school. Kids were always picking on me and putting me down.
So you
I
got
was always very
bullied.
skinny, very much so.
Okay.
Got picked on quite a bit, and it just escalated into the junior high and also the senior high school
Okay.
as well.
So what did that look like?
To me, it wasn't a very pretty picture. It's something you just could not go home and talk to mom and dad about.
It's kind of ashamed maybe of being the focus of that kind of attention.
I would say so. There again, it just wasn't something you just brought home. You're supposed to be that macho guy, just deal with it and just try to muddle through. So I couldn't wait till graduation day.
So you were maybe, would you say you were smaller than?
I was tall. I was like 6'2" right away, and probably about 14, but very, very skinny.
How much?
Just no muscle tone.
Where'd you weigh?
119.
119 at 6'2". Oh my
Walking
gosh!
out the last day of senior school. We
You
got pictures.
When you were a senior,
Yes.
you were 119 pounds.
119, dripping wet, as they would say.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
And no weightlifting never crossed my mind. I wasn't sports
Okay.
minded at all. I just didn't have the body for it. Gym class, I would of course have to take it to get the grade and all, but I just wasn't very good at any sports, and
Okay.
so I just tried to shy away from a lot of that kind of stuff.
So let's fast forward just a little bit
Sure.
further, and so we're past high school,
Okay.
probably gained a little weight, and progressed through, I don't know, you and I haven't really talked about this stuff, what, the days before you were in real estate, but what was life like after, what'd you do, not only career-wise, but, did you pick up weight and that kind of thing? What was, life like for you after?
Sure. Pretty much
Yeah.
just hang out at Shags and Jokers, the various nightclubs
Okay.
here in town with a select few of friends every Friday and Saturday night.
Okay.
Sometimes on Sunday if they were open.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I think I was.
Did you
about 20
fill out or?
No, still really skinny. I like to go for walks, and I had that ectomorph
Yep.
type of a body where it was
Yep.
really pretty much a hard gainer. I was always active, like in
Okay.
the neighborhood. Growing up too, playing ball, whatever the season was, seemed like we'd always be getting a game together.
Was appetite a thing for you? Did you ever
No,
have?
I could eat whatever I wanted.
So you ate a lot.
Ate a lot.
Just never
I just
gained.
could not gain anything.
Huh.
Just had that hypermetabolism, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
So then I was 26 when I started, met my fiance, and then we got married at 28.
Okay.
So she was actually a little heavier than I was, so that didn't settle too well with the woman.
Okay.
And,
Right.
So didn't take long, and then I started to fill out and started hitting in my 30s, and there again not active at all with weights. And then the first child was born. We'd always go for bike rides, I guess, when we were single, but that was pretty much it for physical activity at that time.
Okay.
And the first child was born, so that took the time away from biking, and then hit
Yeah.
middle age, about 38. That's when I started to get a little heavier.
Okay. Then so when you say heavier, what
Well,
did
to
that?
me that was heavier. I think it was probably about 40, and then I weighed 204.
204.
204.
So from 119 to
Yeah.
204.
You know,
That probably had to be pretty uncomfortable.
I didn't even
for
know
you.
what happened. I really didn't. I didn't even see it. I was always brought up, everybody telling me I was so skinny and
Mhm.
thin that
Yeah.
just and nobody ever said I was fat till 2008. A gentleman basically came up and said, "Haha, you're getting fat like me," and poked me in the
Oh
guts.
God.
And that's all it took. So I looked at the wife and I said, I think it was on a Christmas Eve or something at my mother-in-law. So that's all it took. So I don't know what I'm doing, but tomorrow I'm joining the fitness club.
So that leads
So that's probably when we met.
right. That
2008.
leads seriously. That leads right into my next question.
All right.
And of course, I think we knew each other a little bit just from real estate
True.
stuff, and probably been in class together or whatever.
Transactions,
But yeah. So this guy that I knew from real estate all of a sudden started showing up at the Y. So you kind of alluded to it a little bit. What was the spark? What was the thing that made you say, okay, I got to do something?
Okay.
And it was the guy
So it was
poking you?
him, and then also I have a stress test done, and I hopped up on the treadmill and had the wires all hooked up to me, and the doctor pretty much right away said, "Okay, stop." So I thought I'd passed or whatever, and I was done, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you need to stop now, or you're probably gonna code on me." I'm like,
At 38?
yeah.
40?
So there again, I've never been told I was fat or
Right.
flunked a test in that nature by all means. So told me to hop off and basically go home, and then like I said, that gentleman saying I was getting a little fat like he was, so that prompted me to do something.
The doctor says, stop!
Right.
I don't want you to code
Pretty
in front
much,
of me.
right.
Seriously, just doing a stress test.
That's what he said. It's pretty blunt.
So how would you describe your body at that time?
It was pretty soft.
And
Like I said, pants were, I was about ready to go up to a size 38.
38.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was always used to being the slims.
Yeah, so skinny guy wearing a size 38.
Yes.
So
And,
what'd that look
no
like?
muscle tone.
So is it safe to say it was like chicken legs and chicken arms?
Pretty much.
And
yeah.
a big
There
midsection.
you go. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. little cottage cheese, I guess,
Yeah.
look on the arm.
Well, I
and
remember when you
stuff,
started coming into
there's
the
the
way.
picture, right, right.
And by the way,
Pleasant.
we'll put some pictures on here too. So,
Right.
so you started working out.
Mm-hmm.
Did you just kind of go on your own, or what'd you do?
I did. I joined the Y,
joined
and
the Y.
then I didn't know how to pick up a weight or do any of that, and just basically hopped on the treadmill. I couldn't do it for just maybe 5 minutes, if that.
Okay.
Start huffing and puffing, so I quit and go home for the day. And then the next day, I just try to do just a little bit more, and by
Okay.
little, probably a minute.
Okay.
And I finally got built up to do 45 minutes, or I think it was 600 calories. And then once I mastered that, then I go back later in the day and kind of try that same thing over again.
So, what was that? I mean, what was that like? I mean, did you see any? Did you see any changes? How did it feel? What? I mean, describe, because I remember for a while. I remember watching you come in, and and you were really consistent, but it didn't seem like there was a lot of change for
Right.
for a pretty significant
Right.
time.
Very discouraging, but I just kept doing it.
But you kept at it.
Yep.
Why?
So I didn't want to have to check out like my dad did. He was 63 when he passed away of a massive heart attack.
Okay.
And he had a lot of bad habits, we'll say. Plus, he was about 300 pounds.
Okay.
And he's short.
All right.
More again, I'm a little bit taller.
So, you kept at it for a while.
Yes.
Didn't see a lot of change.
Not too much in the
Probably
beginning.
started feeling maybe a little better, but
Mhm.
at least better about doing something about
Right.
it. What kept you motivated to keep coming back?
Just seeing the little progress, I guess. And then probably about 4, maybe 5 months, I dropped that 40 pounds, but then I was just really skinny and bony again.
Yep.
And I didn't like that look.
And you're
then
doing
I
mostly cardio stuff.
All cardio.
Okay.
Just running on the treadmill.
Yep.
And then I rescheduled that appointment with that stress test
Okay.
doctor, and then hopped on within a couple minutes. Like, stop, get off. I'm like, I flunked again. He's
Still?
like, no. He's like, you have made remarkable gains. Whatever you did, wow. He's like, I'm applauding you. I wish I could make you my poster child for everybody. He's like, wow, what a big difference.
Oh,
Most
cool.
people, when they flunk it the first time, they
So
just,
how far between that and the second time
I
you
believe
did
I
that?
joined the Y in May, and then that was probably more towards November,
Okay.
October or November. when I
July,
made
September, October, November. So like 6 months.
There you go.
Okay.
The last appointment. But I didn't know how to eat correctly. I didn't really stop.
That was my
A
next
lot
question.
of the bad habits, we'll say. I
Okay.
still had a bad Mountain Dew
Yeah.
type of a habit, and the
So-
Cheetos, and
So really the thing you changed the most was just your physical
I
output.
did the exercise. I
Was-
incorporated that.
And you really didn't change much diet-wise.
Not at all. There
Okay.
again, I just didn't have the knowledge
Okay.
or anybody to tell me kind of what to do.
Okay.
More of a follower than a leader, I
Okay.
guess.
Yeah. How did you know? I mean, so you just thought, well, geez, getting on the treadmill can't be bad for me, so I'm just going to go do that
Right,
thing.
right.
Pretty much,
Pretty much
is
that, yep.
Okay.
And then I saw somebody doing the elliptical, and then I got to do a little science to it, and I thought, I can burn more calories over here in less amount of time. Not that I'm trying to look for a quick fix.
A cheat, right?
Right, right. So I know
We all want to cheat.
We all do. Let's be honest, right? So, but yeah, I found out the elliptical, and it felt a little bit easier on the knees, and the time went by quicker. So I switched over to doing more elliptical work
Okay.
than the
So
treadmill.
a little more less impact.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about what's it like now. So
Mhm.
we were 204.
204. Yeah. What I would consider like skinny fat.
And you lost 40
Mm-hmm.
pretty quick.
Pretty quick.
Boy, this is like sounding familiar to me.
Yikes.
Because same thing. I lost 40. But then there was at some point you had to like gain some muscle. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, dude, you're like the master of
Whatever.
putting on muscle bulk. I don't know how you do it, but so at some point, and maybe what's that point? What was the point where you learned how to, okay, so we learned how to lose weight.
Right.
Where did putting on muscle and maybe learning about diet happen?
Sure. Just looking in the mirror, after I lost that weight, I just kept seeing that skinny little 119-pound guy again.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that was not the look I really wanted.
Yep.
So I just met a gentleman that was always on the treadmill at the Y.
Okay.
He's always there consistently, so I had enough nerve finally to ask him, hey, what's it take to look like you? And he was probably 5'7".
Okay.
Probably pushing 200 pounds. Nice,
But
big barrel
built.
chest, you know,
Okay.
right? Not really a lot of muscle tone, but he just, looked good in a t-shirt, basically. He's like, hey, I would like to look like you. And he's like, A, you'll never look like me. And that was pretty disheartening to hear that. I was like, no, I don't want to hear that. And he's like, well, being obviously he's shorter, me being taller, we're just built different, He's
Right.
more that
And
mesomorph, I think they
Okay.
call it, that
Okay.
type of a look with the barrel chest and
Right.
all. So he goes, hey, but I'll work out with you. I'm like, okay, cool. There again, I'd never picked up a weight, so he kind of got the basic mechanics
Okay.
started for me, and I guess the obsession with lifting the iron, so it's his fault.
Okay. All right. Any would you care to share the name?
Was Wes Gardner.
Okay.
All right.
So Wes showed you, maybe some of the basics of lifting,
Yeah.
and so then I would assume you probably saw some changes pretty quick.
Yeah. Just little by little, I'm like, wow. I say don't look at the scale. It's more look at the in the mirror.
Composition.
For your changes.
Yeah.
Right. And that was
Okay.
always a hard thing to do because there again, I always think I see that little skinny kid again.
Right, and we're always taught. I mean, the one measurement we look at is our weight, right? And
very much.
yeah, so at some point, the weight really became less of an issue than, okay, well, there's other measurements like, body fat percentage.
True.
And, just, when you look at body fat percentage, the other side of that is then what's my lean body mass?
Mhm.
And are those things that you learned about at that time? Or
Not at all.
No?
No. There again, just the basic mechanics. So that probably went on for a couple years, not lifting really heavy.
Okay.
And then met some other guys at a different gym, and that's when I guess the heavier, the more intense
Okay.
lifting started to take place. Powerlifting, and
Okay.
then switched over to
Doing squats and deadlifts and bench
Yes.
press.
Yep.
Okay. So what was that like for you, just starting out?
there again. I think starting off, I was probably about 45. So of course the body starts to slow down and lose a little testosterone as we
Right.
get older. That's just natural, and
Yep.
then it just wasn't flexible
Yep.
at all. So a lot of these movements were pretty difficult to totally maneuver, but
And if I would venture to guess, you're probably working out with guys who are significantly younger,
very much
for
so.
the most part.
Almost maybe even half my age.
Yep.
So, but they were very impressed. They couldn't believe I was the age that I was, and their parents were probably even younger than I was. But
Okay.
they were like, "Well, it's good though. You're here." My parents are sitting at home on the couch eating Cheetos, so
Right. Yep.
they liked my motivation and my drive, and I show up, tell
Yep.
me a time, and I'd be there, and so they were always impressed.
That
with
is one thing I remember about you is that you were, if nothing else, you were really consistent.
Mhm.
And
I'd always hit you up and say, "Hey, you lifting tomorrow? What body part are you doing?"
Yeah.
And
yeah, I remember right, or probably around that time, we'd work out every once in a while
Sure.
together. And
Mhm.
yeah, I remember that. So that leads me into, so you kind of got around a different crowd. You learned some different maybe knowledge and skills.
Right.
What are some of the big, I call them big rocks. What are the big rocks? What are the things that you learned? How'd you do it? That's how'd you get to, because today what would you say, roughly body fat percentage wise?
Today, probably more in the double digits, probably about 11.
10, 11.
Right. Before when I was doing my show,
You've
I
been
did get
down to 7, 8, right?
Right,
Yeah.
when I did the show.
and so you know how to get there.
Yes.
What are the things that you learned? So, there's three things. There's the output, there's the input, the food, the diet,
Right. I was to say the
nutrition,
diet.
and then there's
It's most
supplementation.
important.
Those are kind of the three big things. What in those areas are the things that you learned
Sure. Kinda,
that made the big difference for you?
probably just retrain the brain. I saw it, you just had to go gung ho in the gym, spend many hours in there, and to me that's not true. Yeah, you got to do the work, put the time in, which I
Okay.
don't have the problem. Anytime somebody says let's lift, I'm
Right.
there. You know
Yep.
that.
Yep.
So not afraid to get my butt off the couch and put the time in. But really just how to act and behave in the kitchen. I do a lot of meal prepping and
Okay.
have it ready. Weigh out your food. I had a heck of a time figuring that out. I guess I made it more complicated than what it really was, but that's
Okay.
just me with anything new. I seem to kind of spaz out, I guess is the word I'm looking for, where
Okay.
it's like just calm down and just track your macros, and once you log it in, it gets easier as you go along.
So, let me stop you. What do you mean when you say track your macros?
All right, the
Because I still don't understand.
macro
What's macros? Tell me.
macronutrition is your proteins, your carbs, and fats.
Okay.
And then if you want to do the fiber, you can do that too. But
Proteins, carbs, and fats.
right,
Then okay.
right. And then just depends on what type of body you're looking for. If you want to maybe gain weight, you just start to increase these numbers, and then if you want to
So you increase
decrease-
the protein maybe to gain mass.
I mean,
Okay.
cut some of your or do some more carbs as well.
Okay.
Some people do the dirty bulk where they just eat whatever. If you want to go to McDonald's and throw that down your...
That's for the younger guys,
There
right?
you go. There you go. Or if you want to be more consistent, which I've been trying to. It's like, why would you want to put that? To me, it's garbage in your body.
Right.
If you want to do more of the healthier type, there's always a better choice out there. That's what I was told. So try to
Okay.
do more of the whole grain foods.
Yep.
Stuff
Eating
like that.
cleaner, maybe.
There's- Yep.
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 And I think probably that's just my take, is that as you get older, that becomes more of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
When you're younger, the metabolism kind of is the big equalizer, and kind of takes, you can be less disciplined when you're younger.
True.
But as we get older, I think maybe it is a little, it is harder, but age, with age comes wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, and as you get older, there's that wisdom there that you can be more disciplined, and you can recognize, okay, yeah, I can't eat these French fries and still reach my goals that I
Sure.
want to hit,
Sure.
which, whether it's, gaining more mass or being leaner or whatever those things might be.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about macros, you're talking about the intake of and the balance of whatever your goals are between fat, protein, and carbohydrates.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and to me that's just right down the alley of what I've learned.
Mm-hmm.
But you do it in more of a, seems like it's a very calculated
Right.
way. When talking to you, you say, well, I have to, whatever days you're on, you're wanting to reach a certain number of grams of protein or a certain number of grams of carbohydrates.
True.
Talk about what that looks like on a practical day-to-day basis for you.
Right now,
Just
I'm trying to gain a little extra weight, but not get too chunky.
okay.
Us guys, for some reason, we always want to gain it in our midsection. So
It
right
just
now,
happens that we
just
gain it in our
happens in our face, or at least it does for me.
Yeah.
So, so I'm trying to throw a little extra carbs in there. In fact, I just upped it 100 grams, so now I'm doing 400 on Monday.
So
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Okay,
So-
Monday, Wednesdays, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then protein is 300, and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, then cut that down to 150. That's called carb cycling.
Okay.
What you do,
Okay.
and then try to drink more water, which I am very guilty of.
Okay. So tell me what, the way you've learned it, what does increasing your dosage or intake of carbohydrates do? to your body?
I think the standard is if you cut out like 500 just calories
Mm-hmm.
from your normal diet a week, you should lose a pound.
Okay.
And it's always best if you can lose it, more sensibly instead of taking it all off at once.
Right.
So that way it doesn't come back on you and then some.
Yep.
All at once too. Just try to be a little bit more sensible. Where everybody wants to try those crash diets and those fad diets.
Right.
And
You ever do that?
I did the ketosis one before, and I saw a lot of good results from that.
Okay. All right. And, it's, boy, that's right down the road. I mean, when I got motivated to get fit, it was with the idea that, okay, this is a lifestyle change. This isn't a fad diet. This isn't a crash diet. This isn't something I'm going to do for a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I want to do so that I can stay fit for the rest of my life.
Very much so.
And extend my life and extend living well, into old age. Like I've told you,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to play racquetball when I'm 90 years old. That's a serious goal that I
Nothing
have.
wrong with that.
No,
That's right.
and
So being in that nursing home, popping this and that for pills, where
right, the
stay away from
doctors and
that.
hospitals tend to
Right.
prescribe to fix you when
Sure.
just eating different and exercising different
right.
will make you feel better and,
That's right.
and so forth.
But you hit it on the head when you said it's a lifestyle. It's not a hobby for me, where a lot of people have screamed to me, I need to, get a hobby. Well,
Right.
I guess if you want to label it as that, I don't look at it as that. To me,
Yeah.
it's just a daily routine, is brushing my teeth, and
Right.
granted, you got to have a day or two off once in a while. Well,
Yeah.
I'm very good at that. Yeah, look at you, you're giggling there. He knows.
That's my
It's
mantra,
hard,
isn't it?
Right.
Rest
right.
is good.
Rest is good. I'm guilty of not doing it, but yeah, that helps the body grow. So
Okay.
I'm getting adequate sleep. But
Yeah. Sleep,
yeah.
liquid
And
intake,
stress.
and
We have no stress in our
good,
job,
good,
do we?
Yeah, good.
None.
Yeah, no. Or in our lives, right?
Right. Right.
So, what? Speak for a second about. Think back to the way you felt. I mean, just physically felt. When you started around the time you started working out, maybe, and compare that to how you feel today.
Right.
What's the difference? And have you had maybe another stress test since those first two?
That I have not. I do have high cholesterol. For some reason, it doesn't matter what weight I'm at. It's always high.
And some people I think that's
It's just
the thing.
normal.
Yep.
Right. I finally found a doctor that said, I'm not going to put you on any medicine. It's just the way you are. You're okay.
Wow.
So I was very pleased.
That's
on that
shocking.
because I tried every
They wanna
statin
prescribe,
imaginable, and that just made my muscles even weaker. And I do have a form of MS, so got to be a little bit careful, I guess. I'm not going too hardcore, because I'll just make my
Okay.
muscle mass even weaker. And there's days I can tell I went a little bit too hard. I'm extra fatigued, and it'll kind of carry out the couple days afterwards too.
Okay.
But other than that, yeah, no stress tests since then, and
But what do you compare how you feel now to the way you felt
sure.
back when you started? I mean,
I still look in the mirror, unfortunately. There's those gym memes that, how
So there's
you-
the feeling of looking at the mirror and going, "Wow, that I feel better about that than I did, in 2008."
I feel like I'm in the best shape I have ever been in my entire life.
Yep.
But mentally, I just want more. I'm just thirsty, I guess you might say, for
Okay.
the iron, and I don't see myself as, like everybody says, you're in pretty good shape for your age, be very proud, and just, it's
Mhm.
this hard concept to
like
accept.
energy level wise, how do you feel different than you did in 2008? Do you think?
I do. There again, I didn't see myself as being fat, but
Mhm.
apparently I was, so I wasn't too active then, where
Okay.
now when I do sit-ups, I can, get the tummy isn't in the way, so to speak. I
Right.
guess.
Okay. So, I want to get back to how'd you do it? What are maybe some of the products or supplements, or maybe even if you tried a different kind of fitness program or anything like that? What did you do or use? And I know you've done some, different supplementation and things. What things that really you saw
Sure.
worked for you?
I swear, I think I've tried just about every supplement on the market.
Mhm.
kind of stick to the basic ones. Can't go wrong with protein.
Right.
Just kind of watch the label, make sure there's not a lot of filler
Okay.
in it.
What kind of protein do you use?
I kind of jump around. I like the Muscle Tech that you can get at Sam's Club. That's pretty cheap, like 50 cents a scoop.
And that's the whey protein, right?
Yep, very much. If you want casein, you can eat that at night. That's more of a slow digestion type of a protein there. Otherwise, yeah, just anything that tastes good. A lot of times I just get vanilla, and I can mix in whatever I want with it. Even some of that Crystal Light, just to give it a different exotic flavor, like watermelon, strawberry, or whatever you want to make. Throw some ice cubes in there. I like that crunch. It just kind of tricks my brain into think I'm actually eating maybe more of a meal instead of just the liquid.
So protein. I know we've talked about C4 a little bit.
C4, yeah.
Which is?
That's the pre-workout.
Okay.
And
gives
kind of gives you the tingles.
Gives you an oomph. Gives you a little more energy maybe to get that extra rep or two in.
Yep. I say get that extra rep going. Try to cycle off a lot of that stuff. So then I'll just do some coffee and a banana. And that gives me just as good a pump.
Okay.
But don't give you that tingles, you might say, which for some reason it kind of tricks your brain. And
and I don't know what it is about C4 or creatine is the big ingredient on that one, but it seems. And of course, I work out early in the morning, and I'm on an empty stomach, and it just seems to upset my tummy, and nothing ever bothers my stomach.
Really?
So, I actually puked into the the water fountain at the Y a couple months ago because I had taken my creatine before I went, and that's the only thing I did different.
Wow.
And so for me, that now maybe later in the day.
Sure.
I'd be fine if I'd have some food in my stomach. I don't know if you've had any experiences like that.
I've tried it both ways, where maybe eat some carbs before and some protein before, and a lot of times I'll just go work out without anything in the stomach. And I don't know if I feel anything extra, any extra power by doing that, but the pre-workout just kind of wakes me up, especially when I want to lift more in the morning hours when I'm still half asleep. But you're right, it does kind of rip up the tummy a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, C4 is a good one. I've heard good things about that. I actually tried it a little bit too, and it does give you a bit of a jump. Yeah. So any silver bullets, any big things that the ones that stand out in your mind is, wow, this really worked good.
Sure. I always like the BCAAs.
Okay.
That's always
those are branched chain amino acids, right?
And then after workout, get some glutamine in you. That'll help for your recovery.
Okay. And so that helps you be less sore, maybe, and just have a little more energy.
Less muscle fatigue and the DOMS, the delayed onset muscle type soreness that a lot of times you'll get, or at least for me, it's usually about 2:30. I always say the next day.
Yeah.
So I do legs like yesterday, usually about 2:30. The next day is when I start to really feel it.
Okay.
Try to get off the toilet. It's a little more of a challenge.
Yeah.
You had a good workout.
I understand. Exactly. It's a good pain.
It's a good feeling.
That's right.
Never skip leg day.
That's right.
Real friends don't let you skip leg day, right?
That's right. So no other real big silver bullets.
I've tried, like I said, just about everything, and I just feel like a lot of it is just a waste of money. Just put the hard work in. Don't look for that shortcut. Don't look for that shortcut. Just use that money on maybe a better type of a protein, or there's nothing like real good food. I'd much rather chew into a nice steak than drink your protein, so to speak.
Yep.
So
awesome.
if you time it just right, you can have your carbs.
I didn't know you were gonna say that.
There you go.
I'm really glad you did, because that's like, it's always kind of been, and I'm more into. I mean, like right now, I'm more into kind of herbal stuff as much as anything. Like, making sure I'm having garlic and salmon oils because the omega-3s, and just to help round out maybe some of the things I might be missing in my diet, but not so much the big amino acids and the proteins, and even the pre-workout stuff. I'm okay with to give you a little extra boost in the morning sometimes, but I'm really glad to hear you say that, because I just thought, okay, well, Sandy's got to have like this. He's got to have
Secret
this
weapon.
secret. Yeah,
There you go.
because you do.
It's
I
actually
mean,
a coffee and banana, because pretty much a lot of that pre-workout, it's just, if you look at the ingredients, it's more caffeine
yeah,
than a lot of stuff, where there again you can get that more in a natural stimulant like
Okay.
coffee. A lot of that supplements are not FDA regulated. You don't know what you're putting in your
right.
body, so
That's just it. You know what really good stuff is in there.
True.
You know, what are you paying for?
right.
And you will see when I post the pictures of Sandy here, you're going to understand what I'm talking about when you see the mass this guy has put on. It's you know, you look at his traps and he's got the pecs that I think are to die for.
He's got the abs, so
Well, yeah,
there's the perfect guy, huh?
yeah, combined, but you've been able to, and you know, I watched you when you were in your cutting phase last year before your and we'll talk about that a little bit too,
Sure.
probably your
Show.
your show, you know, and how many weeks did you plan for? Because you went and did a actual what do we call the show? It was a muscle
Physique, yeah.
muscle show.
Yep.
You know, where like Arnold Schwarzenegger would go and, you know,
There
Mr.
you go.
America or whatever.
Right.
So you'd been through a process where you learned about bulking and getting lean, but then you met somebody who had actually been to a show and had I would assume probably did well
Yes.
and knew some stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and you learned a. Then I think that's maybe when I heard you start talking about carbs and macros and stuff a little bit more,
Yeah,
was during
sure.
that time.
Yes.
So you were able to go from, I would say you were probably in the low 200s then, but you were much more
I was just thicker all
massive
over.
muscle
No
wise.
cuts. Yeah, no cuts.
And when you went to the show, what were you at?
I got down to 176, but then for the show, when I start to fill up more again on the carbs,
Yep.
I think I entered in at 183.
183, and what would you say your body fat percentage was?
It's probably about 7.
7%.
Mhm.
And when you started the process of getting there, what were your at body fat
I
percentage
think
was?
that was probably the highest that I'd ever weighed in my life, and that was 214.
Okay.
And that was probably more of a 16, 15%
Okay.
body.
But you
fat.
were, I mean, you were filling out your
I filled
t-shirt
out
pretty well,
the,
right?
The early shirts. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But it's
Um,
that perception thing, you know. Not that I was looking for special attention or anything like that. I'm just doing it for myself.
Right.
But hardly anybody noticed, and that was just odd, I guess. Like, nobody's like, wow, you're not. I thought sure somebody would say you're getting bigger, but as soon as I started losing, you know, that 30, 35 pounds, it's
Mhm.
like, then everybody's coming out of the woodwork. My gosh, what are you doing? How much weight have you gained? It's like, it just was weird. It was frustrating, actually. I'm like, I haven't gained weight.
So you lost.
I've lost weight. What's your problem? And
But it was
it was just the cuts were starting to show.
it was the cuts
It was that-
and the definition.
It was.
was
You
going
know,
through.
all the striations.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah.
Right, and that was just the weirdest thing for me
And
to
your-
ever comprehend. I was.
But
getting
even in your face, you know,
frustrated.
you had that. I remember you having that jawline, you know, that came through. Of course, you lost 30 pounds,
Right.
you know, and it was all mostly fat, probably at that
Right,
point.
true.
Probably there's some muscle mass that you lost too, but yeah, I remember thinking the same thing. You know, actually, I look back at some of those studio shots he had.
Sure.
And it's hard to maintain that, especially at this age, hard to maintain that level of leanness, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But you did. It was pretty amazing to see, you know, like you say, the muscle striations, the definition. It's that line that goes from the divide between your pecs all the way down your abs to your belly button.
True.
If you can have a nice split right there,
Right.
that's the look that
Yeah.
just shows up.
It
And
does.
I want to move on just a little bit. So if you were to give advice to somebody who is, let's say, the average guy who's between 45 and 55 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and he's looking at himself in the mirror going, oh my God, what has happened to me? You know, we've both been there.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your big key advice points, 2 or 3 at the most, that you would say to help get somebody to be in maybe the best shape of their life, if that's what they want to do, or even just to feel better? What
Yep.
what would you say?
Probably the best, and it's the old cliche, is don't give up. You know, you can start at any age.
Mm-hmm.
Just jump in there. Don't matter what size you are, even if you're super thin and you want to maybe start putting on some good weight,
Mm-hmm.
just get in there and do it. Just surround yourself by positive people.
Mm-hmm.
Weed out all the negatives.
Yeah.
That's hard for me to do. A lot of my what I thought were really good supportive friends, they pretty much all didn't understand my new lifestyle.
Right.
So they said, you're no fun anymore, and they ditched me. They didn't want to hang around me anymore, and that really hurt. So I kind of had to get through that. but I
So
kept
looking at
pushing
you as
through
maybe a
to-
reminder to them of even though you weren't saying that, but maybe they were feeling that, God, I'm in bad shape,
more than likely.
but Sandy's not anymore, and
Right. Haters be hating, I think, is a lot of the
yeah, okay,
saying's true. Maybe they're jealous, but you
Mhm.
know, hey, all they had to do was
feeling a
say,
little
help me out, and
self-condemnation
I'd be
on
there
themselves,
to help
yeah.
them out, right?
Okay.
But it's that willpower. You got to have that drive, and
okay,
nobody else is going to do the work for you. You've got to put it in and
yeah,
make each rep count.
yeah,
You know, don't go in there and just do stuff kind of half-assed. You know.
and find that I remember you just said a little bit ago the guy that poked your belly.
Mm-hmm.
Find that spark.
Right. Right.
It
Yeah.
seems like you had that spark.
Mm-hmm. I guess he just put it all into reality where I didn't even realize what was going on. It just time had gotten away, and I just accepted, I guess, getting into the bigger pant side. I just never, the fat word was never in
Yep.
the vocabulary.
Yeah, and guys like us, we're 6'2", can hide. In our clothes. I remember that. I remember buying pleated front pants
There
just
you go.
because they were more
Yeah,
comfortable,
true,
right?
very much so.
And could hide.
We can
It's
hide the
easier to
belly.
hide. But maybe there's somebody who's shorter that's always had a trouble, the opposite trouble of not necessarily being able to, having trouble gaining weight, but have always had trouble looking thinner.
True.
Would you feel like the same advice applies to those two?
Right, right. And drink water. They always say that
Okay.
bloats you up, but actually it'll help you cut.
Okay.
The more water you can do, the better. And salt, don't be afraid of salt intake as well. That's
Okay.
something I just learned real recently, that salt can be your friend.
Okay. What makes you say that?
Just a lot of reading, just
Okay.
educate yourself. There's a lot of garbage on the internet. It's just trial and error.
Mhm.
A lot of it.
Doesn't it harden your arteries, though?
Different. I don't know.
That's what we've always been told.
A lack of will give you a goiter. Is that it?
Okay. All right.
Well, yeah, it's just there's a lot of garbage out there. You just gotta try. And if you're not seeing a lot of results, just switch over, and hopefully it'll all make sense for you.
Okay. So, 18-year-old Sandy, 119 pounds,
Wow.
and the mentality that went
No confidence
with him.
right?
What's that like today?
A lot of that is still there. I'm still kind of working on that inner being, but people tell me I'm different. I don't feel different. Inside, I'm still the same guy. Yeah, I'm enjoying the adventure, and hopefully I won't get hurt. So I'm trying to lift more sensible.
Mhm.
It's not about piling on the plates, and I don't care about the numbers or how much my max bench is or how much I can deadlift. I just don't want to get hurt and
Right.
then be injured enough where I can't do this
Right.
anymore.
Yep. Yeah, it
Gotta be sensible about it. And
absolutely.
know your limitations, and
Well,
you check your.
And I think you and I have both seen enough 20 and even 30-year-old guys that have gone in with the mentality of, I'm going to be the man and absolutely max out every time I go work out.
Right.
and now they're 35, 40 years old and can't lift anymore,
True.
can't squat because they've damaged themselves for that.
They're all hunched over and
Yep. And so there is balance.
Yeah.
Balance is important, and it seems like, just talking with you over the last few years, that you've really kind of kept that in mind too. And it's not always easy to do, because you see that next level that you want to hit, and the strength, the feeling of strength that comes with being able to lift that next goal.
True.
And that's a big motivator. But at the same time, we understand, that wisdom part comes back into play.
It does.
And we do understand. So what do you think about the idea of being in shape is 20% what happens at the gym and 80% what happens in the kitchen?
I will agree.
Do you think that's
I will
really a
agree.
thing?
It is. It is. You just need to be aware of what you're putting into your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I really agree with that. It's all about portions, and
Yeah.
there's always better choices of food out there.
Yep. I think that, and we've talked a little bit about this before too, is that when we're young, we're able to get away with bad habits.
Mm-hmm. You eat that whole pizza and that
Yeah.
6-pack of beer.
But then as we get older, we cannot continue to indulge in those habits, because it shows up on our bodies much
Sure.
more quickly and much more, it just shows up.
Right.
And so we have to, I don't know, I think that what you and I have both done is we've been able to get past the old habits that we learned as a young person,
Mm-hmm.
and have been able to adjust to the difference in our body now that we're older, and can do it in such a way that neither one of us are starving by any means.
Right.
We eat a lot.
Right. Right.
But
That's a lot of people's problem too. When they are trying to gain weight, they just don't eat enough. They're full, but there again, you just need to keep eating more.
yeah, and so much of the American diet is, just really bad. It's bad carbs. There are good carbs.
Right.
There's plenty of good carbs you
Oh,
can eat.
definitely.
But the bad, saturated fat stuff and the bad carbs.
Artificial.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, real butter is better than the margarine or
Right.
the oleum.
Yep.
So
And
it's
there's
all about limitations.
plenty of information on the internet.
True.
I don't know about you, but I've done a lot of just
Right.
looking at what's out there on the internet,
Right.
and there's plenty of people that, even if it's focused for older people, what kind of diets that we can use that are, just general ways to think about food. For me, it's interesting to hear you talk about carbs, because for the last probably almost 10 years now, I have been very averse to carbs in general. So my diet has been mostly, and of course greens are carbohydrates, but they're good carbs.
True.
But I've been very, very heavy on protein and heavy on green carbs and legumes, like good beans. I happen to like black beans real well, so I incorporate black beans into a lot of my diet. Then I will have a free day per week where I eat pretty much whatever I want.
I was gonna say that too. You gotta, once in a while, enjoy yourself.
Yeah,
If you
and
want
it
that
gives me something to shoot
cake
for.
or-
Yeah.
Right.
Or if there's a special family event that I'm going to go to, and I know there's going to be lots of that kind of food there, that, I'm there and it's a social event, and I'm going to indulge in, the birthday cake or the wedding cake or whatever it is, and not feel guilty about it, because I know
you
that
can't.
80% of the time I am being very disciplined, and I'm okay with that.
Right. Especially if you know it's coming up, in a week in advance, you just kind of tweak your week
Right.
to accommodate it. But yeah, by all means, you have to still enjoy life and
Yeah.
treat yourself to a cheat meal.
Okay.
And not the whole day, like a lot of people want to do the whole day, where they just
Right.
shove as much in as possible. But
Man, well, I really appreciate you taking the time to come by.
Still got a lot to learn myself. I'm
Man.
nowhere in my mind where I want to be, so
Yeah, learning every
God
day.
willing, hopefully just keep growing and
Yeah.
like I said, be around the positive people that will encourage you. And
Well, I'll tell you,
That's good.
I have Sandy's going to be like the first in hopefully a series of people that I kind of look up to who have made quantum changes in their physique and their body, and probably a lot of mental changes too. I would imagine over the last 9 years for you, but what a great story, and what a great I mean the changes are you can't get past looking at. I'm sure I'm going to post some of the pre-photos with Sandy's permission here of what he used to look like 10 years ago to what he looks like now, and you can't argue with those results. And well, man, thanks for. I'm seriously.
Yeah.
Thank you, because I've learned some things. That, okay, so there's no silver bullet that Sandy has. That 119 pounds. Wow, that's pretty amazing.
No easy fix.
And look where you're at now.
Takes time.
And
I just feel like I'm trying to make up for lost time.
Yeah.
So I gotta cool my jets a little bit, and anything. How's that saying go? Anything worth doing is
worth doing well. Yeah.
There you go.
So, well, okay. What are your goals from here? I mean, kind of reached. I mean,
Sure.
most guys our age would really die to be able to look like you do.
I know, that's what everybody keeps telling me. It's
Seriously.
just so hard for me to grasp and really let it sink in.
So, but what do you?
99%.
What are you looking
We're
for?
in the 99 percentile.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really get any better than that,
Right.
Might as well say it's 100, but I don't see it. To me, there's always room for improvement, and
what
got that drive.
So what does the next 5-10 years look like, and what I mean, what do you hope? What are you hoping for?
Sure. Right now I weigh about 200.
Okay.
202, something like that. It'll fluctuate. I can drop down.
Yep.
Just in sleeping overnight to 196.
Right.
I don't understand that, but
That's the magic of having
how
good,
fast metabolism.
well,
the furnace. I
faster
always say,
metabolism,
yeah,
and
it's-
a good lean body mass
Right,
will
right.
do that.
And I don't wake up being sweaty or nothing like that, so I
Yeah.
know it's nothing like that.
Yeah.
But it's what I'm dealt with. So, but I would love to be 225. I don't know why I got that number
Okay.
in my head. They've always taught me don't look at the scale. Throw the scale away. Actually, it's what you look
but
like in the
You still
mirror.
gotta have it there.
I'm a
think about
numbers
it.
guy. I
Yeah.
went to school for accounting. I'm a numbers guy. So, but yeah, 225. I don't know. That's
Okay.
just a number. I guess I kind
So
of
225.
I started off at 200.
At
you
what
know,
body
long time
fat
ago.
percentage? Maybe.
If I could get away with 9, I guess I'd even be happy with that.
So
But
9%.
9
That'd
or
be a
even
lean body
8.
mass of roughly 180, 190-ish,
That
right?
sounds about right. Yeah,
Wow.
that'd be great.
That's a lofty goal.
Right, yes it is.
That's
Just
awesome.
gotta fill out the chicken legs.
Yeah. Well, cool. And what are you thinking it'll take to do that?
It'd be nice to have that instant fix, instant gratification. But of course, gotta be realistic about it too. So maybe a couple years, 3 years.
Just keeping the macros.
Yeah,
And
just keep them under control. You feel like you're not looking so good in the mirror, and then just adjust them accordingly. And
So to add on another 25 pounds of lean mass is going to take some pretty serious lifting too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the chat with Sandy as much as I did. If you'd like to know more, check out the links and information below, and thanks so much for watching.